Jakarta is the capital of Indonesia and has been on and off since 1619. It is also sinking into the ground really quickly. Jakarta, Indonesia has been on and off the capital of the archipelago since the Dutch East India Company seized control of the islands in 1619. It lasted through a Japanese occupation and eventually became the capital of the new Indonesian state during the Indonesian Independence War in 1945, and was formally declared the capital in 1961 after the conflict had resolved. It has all the markings of a capital city: a long history, a huge population, and a rich culture. But now it is sinking. So President Joko Widodo announced a relocation of the capital to Nusantara on the island of Borneo. It is a momentous project with both a huge potential and a large amount of public backlash. Let's take a look at why. But first, please subscribe if you haven't already. Every little bit helps, so please click the red button and let's get on with the video. So why move the capital? With over 32 million people and infrastructure worth billions of dollars, it is no easy task to move. Over 40% of Jakarta is located below sea level, which means that this is threatened by the rising sea levels caused by climate change. It has historic flooding issues dating back to 1990, with tens of thousands being displaced each time. Most notably in 2007, a monsoon brought huge floods and more than 70% of the city was submerged. The city itself is also sinking, at a rate of up to 11 inches per year depending on the area, mostly caused by the overuse of underground aquifers in the city. Essentially, people are using too much groundwater, which is causing the land above to sink down. However, it is difficult to stop using the groundwater, as 60% of Jakarta's citizens rely on it. Needless to say, those numbers do not bode well for the future of the city or its buildings. This isn't the first time a move has been proposed either. It's just the first time that one has been approved, and according to the Indonesian government, it is desperately needed. The new city will be named Nusantara, which means archipelago in Javanese. It will be located in East Kalimantan on the island of Borneo. The whole province is only populated by around 3.7 million people right now, meaning there is plenty of room for the new capital to grow. The president plans to inaugurate the city on the 17th of August 2024, which will land on the Indonesian Independence Day. The president wants to take the opportunity to make Nusantara a smart forest city, to be laid out as the perfect city. It involves 29 huge infrastructure projects that have already begun, at a cost so far of $1.7 billion, which is eventually going to rise to around $40 billion for the entire project. These include a new presidential palace, a new airport, and roads to connect the palace and the congressional buildings to the airport, as well as lots of housing projects. The engineers behind it claim to be reserving 75% of the city for green space, and plan to use solar power to provide the electricity for the entire city, trying to meet the green goals set by the president. The engineers also plan to create 22 high-density apartment buildings just for the construction workers using modular construction techniques, and those need to be able to house the 200,000 construction workers, engineers, and other workers that will be working on the site in just 3 months. The design for the city was done via a competition, which was won by a plan that translates roughly to Forest Archipelago in English. And it should be done by 2024. That will mean the presidential palace and legislative buildings will have been completed, as well as basic projects needed for human living, such as a water supply, hospitals, schools, and office buildings. It also must be able to handle 500,000 residents when it first opens in 2024, with plans for that to run up to millions more in the close future. Transportation for the city must also be completed with 80% public transit, a move meant to address the traffic and congestion issues with the current capital. Jakarta is infamous for its traffic, so the new planned city will prioritize an extensive public transit network. They plan to emphasize walkable developments as well, with a citywide bike path, a bus system, and a 2-rail metro service, and autonomous minibuses. It will also have a commuter rail network to connect it to other nearby areas, as well as an airport line to connect it to the pre-existing airports nearby while a new airport is constructed in Penajam. It will also serve as the hub of the future Trans-Kalimantan Railway network, which will connect the entire Indonesian side of Borneo. However, the rest of the project will take until 2045 to complete, and will eventually house millions. Despite the positive-sounding veil surrounding the project as it is seen by the government, it has many critics among the common person. 95.7% of Jakartan respondents to a national survey disagreed with the plan to move the capital, and social media users in Indonesia also object to the name, as Nusantara is an old Javanese word used to refer to the entire group of islands, not just one city. Indigenous groups in Borneo have also spoken out that the new capital will endanger their culture and environment, and conservationists say that the new city will expand palm oil plantations and logging in the surrounding rainforests, and damage crucial habitats for the natural world. Much like many of the other projects highlighted on this channel, Nusantara has heavily optimistic ideas that may or may not come to light. For example, the government has claimed that they will build an advanced air mobility system in the city using Hyundai's new flying cars. Needless to say, we should not expect this to be ready in time for launch in 2024. However, if you want to keep up to date with the developments of this project and other megacity projects, be sure to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date.